And she asked me about the guitars and everything. Did you get that?
Yeah, actually I did.
The sunglasses tag.
Okay, let me check one thing quick.
Put them on. Wait, let me see.
Did you call him?
Are we on?
You want me to call him?
Yeah.
Should I turn my phone off during this?
Are we on, Joel?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's alright.
Well, yeah, that's definitely part of it. When you're putting this together and you want to be the real deal, you got to use the real guitars. And like I was saying, they're very expensive compared to normal guitars sold at a music store. He plays these freely, I play all the Paul Stanley models. The only thing he doesn't have is a Peter Criss drum set, except it's got a chrome one, but it's not here.
Yeah, we have one back east with all the other gear that we have. It's like we have to have gear on both sides of the country. When I tell people, they're like, "What? You guys are crazy."
You know,
I'm like,
these-
"Oh, that's what
they-
we do."
Val and Gary live in California.
I want to hear about this because you guys are.
I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and our Jimmy Jean lives in Kentucky.
How does that work? A lot of bands live in the same city, and it's just a pain to drive across the city to get to the person's houses. How does that
What
work?
it is Jim started doing this like full time. He hit the road like in '95, so he's played with everybody. So he resided in Kentucky. He's from New York. I played with Jim and the Kids Army back in the '90s, and we all lived in New York, in the Queens area. But then he started jamming with all these other people, and all these other, like Gary's from Detroit originally, somehow Jim wanted to put this band back together with me playing the drums, which I'm very grateful for. And he said, we'll fly you to the gigs, and then we'll take it out of the band money, whatever we make, and then whatever's left over we keep, So.
How has that worked for you guys? Is it difficult? Because you all have jobs
Fine.
on top of this, right? Your 9-to-5 jobs, or?
I have a subcontracting job, so I can leave and play drums or go on tour if we need to.
I just started a home business, so I'm based at home or anywhere I want to do it.
Excellent.
He does.
I work for a property management company. I work on air conditioning for them and electrical repair, plumbing and stuff like that.
Him and I kind of do the same
Yeah,
kind of
we
work.
kinda do the same
I do
work.
appliance repair.
Like I'll call them up when I have a work order. I go, "Hey Mike, I'm working on a dishwasher.
Yeah.
I got a stuck blade on the clutch or
On
whatever,
that
you
GE
know."
motor, yeah.
And then he goes, "Oh yeah, the GE blah blah blah." And he
Yeah,
knows
it's
all the
pretty funny.
names. I'm like, wow.
But
I've been
both
doing
these
this.
guys want to get out of it and do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing music and my regular job my whole life. I was in one band that had a record out over in England back in the mid '80s, and I was in the '90s when I was still real young, kind of young. I was still trying to get signed, but nowadays I don't really care. I'm having fun
Just
doing
doing
this.
this,
So
And I was like in the 80s.
shut that off.
It's the business.
I was in. Oh, I'm gonna start over.
Go ahead.
Okay. And similar to Mike, I pursued the originals as my ticket, and like the closest I got was we almost got signed by EMI Records. It was a band called Villain, and we just got our foot in the door, and then boom, it slammed shut, and I was like, man, that sucks, and I had an attitude about it, and I didn't like the fact that everyone in the band was becoming drug addicts, and they knew that I didn't like it, so I got fired. And they got another guitar player, they got a record deal with an independent label, and I was like pissed off.
And then they broke up.
And then and nothing happened with them. And I was like, wow.
Like all bands.
All bands, yeah.
I mean, not nothing, but they got their thing, and I was like really happy that happened for them, And I was like playing clubs up in resorts and stuff, and
Dreaming about
doing
being
fire, and dancing around on stage with the band, and it was like,
dreaming about doing this.
yeah, no, never. I was just like, I just thought my whole career as a musician was over. I thought I was now a club, what do they call, lounge lizard, That's what I thought I was gonna be, and then I went home one day and I had the Valley Music News. And there it was. It said, West Coast Kiss Tribute about to unleash its onslaught on the West Coast looking for an Ace Frehley and a Paul Stanley. And I was like, wow, that sounds pretty neat. And then I was just thinking in my head, all these guitar players with long hair showing up trying to audition for this role, you know? And I was like, man, that would be cool. And I just like left it on the bed and just thought about it. I just thought about it all night. I think I even put on Kiss Alive just to listen to it again after all these years, you know? And I was just like, wow, this is killer music. What opportunity to get to play that music. You know, the music I grew up listening to that I couldn't play at the time because I was like, what, 10? You know? And then to be able to replicate it and get a chance to do something like that, now that you have the ability and the chops to do it, I was like, yeah, I want to try this. So I hooked up an audition. I brought a little tiny combo amp that I used for my club gig. And I showed up, and the drummer meets me, and he goes, so, where's your amp, you know? Like, I was like standing in front of it, you couldn't see it. So like they were thinking, oh man, this guy doesn't have what it takes, you know? And so then I went into their studio thing, and I saw all these wall of Marshall stacks, like Kiss lighted logo sign, big old drums, and I was going, wow, these guys are serious, you know? And then I kind of got nervous, and so I just started jamming, just warming up, and all of a sudden I turn around, and there's Andy, the bass player, the Gene, and he's just standing there looking at me, and he goes, sounds good. And then just like, he was just really quiet and odd. He was just a totally different character, you know? He was pretty neat. And then I thought, man, this is like the level or whatever this is. Maybe I don't have what it takes, you know? And so I just, when they got into the room, I walked up into the microphone and said, you one of the best, you go. I was just like, you know, trying to relive that Kiss Alive moment. I'm thinking, hey, it's the one time I'm ever going to get to do this. Might as well have fun with it. And they laughed, and that kind of broke the ice a little bit. And then we just went into songs, and I played the first song, and they were like, wow, that was good. And they were like talking to each other, not talking to me, but just talking to each other. Oh yeah, you notice he nailed this and this and that. And I'm like right here, you know.
Did you all go in knowing most of the songs by Kiss, or did you have to spend a week before your audition?
What do you mean, to this lineup, or?
No, just
No,
the
beginning.
Kiss
Like the
catalog.
very beginning.
Yeah. when
Yeah,
you were
I had
first-
auditioned. When I, like I said, when they spotted me playing in New York at the club, the guy that was playing Paul Stanley at the time goes, I gotta talk to Jim, who's Jimmy Jean, our guy that we play with. Gene, and I said, well, I really don't sing, you know? Well, you gotta sing Beth, you gotta sing Nothing to Lose and Black Diamond, and I was like really shy of doing that. He called me back, don't bother auditioning. Long story short, I got the audition to go in to audition for him. And yeah, I had to learn 7 songs. I remember I had to learn Parasite. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like Keith Moon playing like live at Leeds. How am I gonna learn this? You know, like, you know, I'm like, holy shit, he's all over the place. And I'm like, so it was cool, it was a challenge. And so I went in, and how I got the gig is we did Nothing to Lose, and I started screaming Nothing to Lose. And they stopped. I was like, uh-oh. And they were like, you got the job, man. No one could fucking scream like this. So I was like, oh, really? And then from there, they you know, it was a long process.
How about you?
For me, I had my own band in Detroit called Kissed. It was right before I joined Struggle, my first band. They found me through the club circuit, like I said. There's so large of a catalog of Kiss music, you can't possibly learn it all. So it's usually a live 1 and a live 2 songs for any band that portrays Kiss, really. So yeah, I knew it.
What?
Did you know most of the
What?
Kiss?
What was the question?
How many Kiss songs? I mean, had
Oh,
you
I'm
played
sorry.
them when obviously you were a
Brain
Kiss
fart.
fan and everything? and-
Yeah.
He only shocked me at the time because he left it on my answering machine.
Yeah, you know, this is a funny story.
Did he?
Gary was playing out already, like he was already pretty much, you know, like if you just were to get into the Kiss tribute scene and you were to ask who's good, and then people will say, well, everyone's pretty good, but these are the standout players, you know, and it's usually like 1 or 2 persons in the band that are are good in the band. The other two aren't that great, but you know so he stood out, and I heard the name Jim Seda, and I heard Andy Patchy. That was the guy that we auditioned with, but he started Andy. He found Andy somehow. I don't know.
Internet.
On the internet.
Had an ad out.
So if you want to talk about that.
I was just trying to put together a new version of a good Kiss band, kind of like exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Just never worked out.
So once I started jamming with Andy for a while, I would call Gary, and because I knew that he knew his stuff about stuff, and I'd go, hey man, you know, I'm just new in this thing, and if you ever need an ace or anything, you know, and I would play him what I knew. I think I had a recording of me doing.
Oh, you first saw me at that club with Out in the Hell.
Yeah.
And then we exchanged numbers, and then you called me and left
That's
that
true.
on my machine.
Yeah, that's right. So it's weird. It's kind of like, actually, the very first time I saw you was on the Arsenio Hall show.
Wow.
I was like, I was watching Kiss because Kiss was going to be on Arsenio, and I'm like, well, how did Paul Stanley get dressed so fast? Because they did it out of makeup. And then there's Paul Stanley, who I thought, talking with Arsenio. A little thinner Paul Stanley. But I was like, how the hell did he do that? And then,
Did you really think that?
I swear to God. Yeah. And all of a sudden, in a soft-spoken voice, Gary, the guy goes, Arsenio goes, hey man, I'm sorry, we don't have the time. And Gary goes, it's all right. It was good to be here or something, you know? Because like they were going to do a whole interview with you and they ran out of time.
Which band were you in for that? Was that with...
It was just him being in the audience.
I was previously with Strutter still, and I just quit like a week ago when we headed through
And you went
California.
to LA, right?
When we headed through California, I just quit.
Uh-huh.
Then the week after that, the Kiss thing came up, so I'm like, I'm gonna go down and dress up, and they pulled me up on stage.
Yeah. Isn't that odd?
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, obviously the look has a lot to do with it, and
Yeah.
you know, to get that down. I mean, obviously you said 2 hours for you to put on makeup,
Yeah.
an hour for you guys. Talk about that. How long did it take to accurately portray yourselves as the personas on stage to really get that down?
When I was in Larger Than Life, that was my first time, you know, with the whole thing, and I got a couple of pointers from Andy, the Gene, you know, but most of it was just like, just trial and error, and I have some hideous makeup shots of me when I first started, and even through like Larger Than Life, you know, I always like would tell the guitar player that was in the band, Jay, he was the Paul Stanley, I would say, it just doesn't look good, it's fine, it's fine, that's what he'd say, he'd always say it's fine. His makeup looked bad, and mine looked bad, but he said, people from this row can't tell, it's fine, it's good enough. Mark, I'm doing an interview on film for the movie. I'm sorry. Bye. Sorry.
That's okay. Continue, guys.
Where were we?
You were talking about makeup?
About you not perfecting your makeup and the other guys not caring.
Oh yeah, Jay. And I always knew in my heart that we could do a lot better, you know, a lot better. And when Andy left the band for the last time, we started importing Jim. I asked him if he would consider, you know, moonlighting from his band, you know, to play with us and just make some extra cash. And he was down with it, you know, try it out once and see how it goes from there, you know. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll just see what can happen. So we just started playing. And at first, you know, Jim was real standoffish, never really said anything positive about my performance, my playing, anything, you know. But, you know, he's a tough nut to crack, you know. But eventually, he warmed up to us, you know, and then he started saying stuff that was positive, and then he goes, you really want to know what I think? You know, in his Seda voice. I think everyone's got a Seda voice.
You really want to know what I think?
I'm not doing it.
And then he's like, well, you know, the drums, Peter never had a purple set, and this and